In this video, I want to explain a little bit about getting access to your LinkedIn account, your LinkedIn Learning, and how you can connect this as a helpful component to your job search and your career goals. So to get started, you'll notice that in the Blackboard course, I've created a link here called LinkedIn Learning, which is connected to, of course, LinkedIn, which many of you may have a profile. If you don't have a LinkedIn profile, I would highly encourage you to get and start one of those. If you go to the course outline, you'll see my name as the instructor. If you click on it, it'll open up the LinkedIn account and it'll show you who I am. So you can go through and have a look at my LinkedIn profile. This is your professional profile for applying for jobs and for communicating with your colleagues, for networking. It's a great tool. Applying for jobs nowadays, this is almost an essential. So if you want to work in this area, you'll definitely need that. All right, so moving on, you can have a look through my credentials, but what I wanted to focus on was the licenses and certifications section inside of LinkedIn Learning. And you'll see here it says Introduction to Quantum Computing and Artificial Intelligence and Decision Making. These are LinkedIn courses that I've completed, and once you do, they post them on your LinkedIn account. Now the advantage to this is that it'll show any future employers that you are actively engaged in topics that are relevant to your career and maybe to the company that you're applying for work. And you can put in as many of these as you want. Now during this course, this is not a mandatory component of CSIS 1190. This is just a supplement. So if you want to add to your resume, you want to really build up the certification area in your resume for job readiness skills, this is a great way to do it. So you can see here I've gone through a few, and then back before it was LinkedIn Learning, it was actually owned by lynda.com. LinkedIn had bought them out in about 2018. As you can sort of see, the icons have changed somewhat. They don't expire either. So I've got a lot of LinkedIn certifications, but also industry standard certification. This is the Microsoft Technical Associate for C# programming. This is a different level. This is an actual exam you have to get proctored, and they test your skills on whatever subject area that you're studying. All right, so and I've also got Microsoft Office certification. Now what this is the Microsoft's certification, and the course that you're taking with me in 1190 is preparing you to write that certification, and that's an industry-wide certification. I would encourage you, if you really want to push yourself a little further and get verified and get that certification, you can do that online, and then you have to go to a proctoring center somewhere in Vancouver. All right, so there's another MTA for networking fundamentals and so on. These are professional Microsoft certifications, I should say. All right, so it also shows employers that you've got a desire to learn and continues to learn. And employers really like this quality in an employee. They want to see that you show initiative and you're interested and you're constantly learning and upgrading your skills. So when someone reads your LinkedIn, basically your resume, they are going to hopefully note that, and it'll give you maybe a bit more of a competitive advantage. The other specific thing about my course here in 1190 that I'm teaching is that a lot of companies want people to have very strong Excel skills. So if you go into the job search sites out there, in Vancouver we have one here called Indeed.ca or Indeed.com in Canada, and you can search according to the geographical area and then search for your particular area that you're looking for. I'm going to put in proficiency in Excel, and right now there are 956 jobs that are looking for people who are proficient in Excel, and most office jobs will require you to use Excel at some level. Either the spreadsheets workbooks have been set up and you're going to be using them for data entry and analysis, or to use the tool to build your own custom. But employers really want you to be a very strong knowledge at this particular skill. And the reason is they don't want you to spend like an over amount of time trying to do something or make errors or those types of things within Excel, which just makes sense. I think that they want you to be proficient. You can see here, student intern field investigation for WorkSafe BC. Now that's a very, very good company. That's a union position, probably pays quite well. And one of their number one skills is a strong proficiency with Microsoft Office, including SharePoint and Excel. So my point here is, if you were applying for that job, you'd want to become even really, really good at Excel, but maybe SharePoint. Now this would give you an opportunity to use the LinkedIn Learning and take as many SharePoint courses on LinkedIn Learning as you can before you go for an interview or you submit your resume to an employer. If they see on your resume that you've completed some of these LinkedIn certification courses, it really helps the employer say, hey, this person shows initiative. They've taken these courses, let's bring them in for an interview, and then we'll also test them. Now, I want to make this very clear that you can have a lot of these certifications, but companies will still want to test you. Now, if you go into Indeed, again, they talk about this. During the interview, one of the barriers might be to ask you questions about the area that you're applying for, the specific job duties, those daily duties that you guys will have to do, but they'll also at the end want to test you. And a lot of jobs, office jobs, they make it mandatory to pass an Excel test after the interview. So once you've got the interview and they want to take you to the next step, they will put you through an Excel test. Based on that test, may determine whether you get hired. So it shows you how important Excel really is. Now, depending on the job, this one maybe, or the one I just showed you, it might also have a SharePoint component. So again, if you take these online LinkedIn Learning courses, it would really help you to achieve that. So in Indeed here, they're talking about how you can help you pass this Excel test, which is great. The course that you guys are enrolled in, CSIS 1190, the entire course is dedicated around bringing your skills up to a proficiency level. So it's not an intermediate, a beginner or intermediate, it's a proficiency level. We'll be taking you right up to the point of actually coding macros in Excel. So I would highly encourage, that's basically, that's the level that you're going to be at by the time that you finish this course. Now, in this course as well with the MIT Lab, you'll also be getting an additional option for the LinkedIn Learning. This is what they call badges. Now, a badge is a Pearson MIT Lab. It's like when we do the midterm and the final, if you get over 90% on those assessments, they will put a badge on your LinkedIn profile and say that you received a 90% on the midterm and the final at Douglas College. Again, employers would look at that and say, "Oh, that's good. That's a great sign that you know your stuff." But they'll still interview or they'll still test you in their own environment. But it'll definitely help. And this course is going to prepare you to basically ace these tests. And that's really what we're trying to do here. Now, this is an asynchronous class, as you know, and you guys have access to a lot of these learning tools online, which is, it's a different way of learning. It's not maybe as comfortable maybe as the face-to-face. It's kind of nice to see your instructor and talk to them and get a sense of how things work. With the online stuff, you have to be self-motivated to get things done. But anyways, I'm just trying to really emphasize this point about how important Excel is to have a high-level skill. Excel is not a difficult program to use. The tools are not that hard. It's just a lot of small little details that you have to go through to become proficient at it. All right, with that said, how do you get access to LinkedIn Learning? So if you go back to the Blackboard course and you click on, I put in a link here called LinkedIn Learning. And when you click on that, there's the basic instructions on how to get access. So once you clicked on the first link right here, it will log you in. Now, I've already logged in, so you have to follow the instructions that were posted here. Go to this site, click on the sign in at the top of the page, and follow the instructions to get access. If you do have problems accessing it, you can still get help here at this LinkedIn, at this link here, and you can also get help at our CSIS office. That's our or help desk, and there's their telephone number, and I think you can also contact them at service desk at douglascollege.ca if you can't get access, but you should be able to get it. I've had a lot of students do this. Now, I want to emphasize, this is a free account. The college pays a lot of money every year for students to have access to this LinkedIn Learning. So I think you should take advantage of it whenever you can. All right. Now, LinkedIn, let's go in here and it'll open up my account. Now, the LinkedIn accounts that you have access to are the full executive accounts, which means that you have access to all the resource files, all the videos, all the courses. It's basically, you get access to everything. As long as you're a Douglas College student, you'll have access inside of here. This is kind of like the Netflix for learning. So if you want, you can binge as many of these as you want. And a lot of these you can go through and have a look and see what kind of topics might interest you. Some of these videos are half an hour. This one's like 45 minutes. Some of them can be hours long, like some of them are full courses. What I've done is I've put together a list of recommended courses that you may consider watching. So in the Blackboard course, I'll put up this link, but basically I've put together a collection of CSIS 1190 Excel for Business classes that I think would be helpful for you guys. So it starts off with a simple one. It's just an hour and 10 minutes. It's Learning Excel 2016. And this will give you a pretty good idea of how these LinkedIn classes work. So once you've completed that, there's little assessments there. They'll ask you questions. And once you've completed all that, then you can put the certification on your LinkedIn account. So a good way to get started. Now from there, as we progress through the Excel course, that's going to start in week 3 of our course, we'll be getting into a lot of the learning objectives that are covered in these videos. Now, I will say that these videos do have overlapping learning objectives. These are not, they're not articulated with my learning objectives perfectly. Most of my learning objectives are in these videos, but there's a lot of other learning objectives that you'll get in these videos that I do not cover in my course. Excel is a very, very complex system that can do so many different things. And I think the objective for most students would be to become quite proficient at as many learning objects as they can before you graduate. So I would encourage you guys to have a look through these and do as many as you can. Now this is over and above the course materials, of course, but I'm trying to, to really emphasize this point that it is definitely going to help you for your career. Now, with that said, there are hundreds, if not thousands, of courses in other areas. So as you progress through your program at Douglas College, by all means, go into LinkedIn Learning and search other areas. And I'm sure there's lots of other areas for your other courses that you're taking at Douglas that you can supplement. Talk to your instructors, ask them if they recommend any particular LinkedIn Learning classes. I'm sure that they will have some, and just do a search on your own, whichever area you're in. If you're in marketing, finance, accounting, what have you, there's lots of different areas of knowledge here. It's is there classes in here on English? No, these are primarily technology based or business based concepts that are inside of LinkedIn Learning. All right, so I hope that illustrates my points here, and you'll take the opportunity and open up LinkedIn and do as many as you can in this course and as you progress through your educational track. Anyway, that's all for this particular video. I will see you guys in the next one.